Inflation has long cast a pervasive shadow across the global economic landscape. Its persistent presence shapes policy decisions and influences the daily lives of billions. This often unseen force quietly erodes value over time. While often discussed in terms of temporary fluctuations, inflation reveals itself as an enduring challenge. Understanding its fundamental nature is crucial for navigating modern financial complexities. It is more than just rising prices. It is a systemic condition. This perspective challenges the common assumption that inflation is merely a temporary phenomenon. Instead, we must confront its deep-seated mechanisms and the reasons it consistently resurfaces. It is not an anomaly, but a recurring feature. The roots of inflation are deeply entrenched within the very structure of modern economic systems. These underlying principles often make its complete eradication an improbable goal. It is woven into the fabric of how economies function. From monetary policy to consumer behavior, countless factors contribute to its perpetual motion. This intricate web of influences ensures that inflation remains a constant companion to economic activity. Its enduring nature warrants careful scrutiny. At its core, inflation is precisely defined as the sustained increase in the general price level of goods and services. More critically, it represents the simultaneous devaluation of a currency's purchasing power. This fundamental concept underpins all inflationary effects. This devaluation has a direct and tangible consequence for everyone. Each unit of currency progressively buys less over time, diminishing its economic utility. The impact is felt in every transaction, from daily purchases to long-term investments. The primary driver behind this phenomenon is an increase in the overall money supply circulating within an economy. When more money chases a relatively constant amount of goods, prices inevitably rise. This is a fundamental principle of monetary economics. Central banks play a pivotal role in orchestrating these changes to the money supply. Through various mechanisms, they regulate the amount of currency in circulation. Their decisions are critical determinants of future price stability. Whether through quantitative easing, adjustments to reserve requirements, or direct lending, central banks significantly expand or contract the monetary base. These actions have far-reaching implications for the value of money. Such expansions in the money supply inherently introduce inflationary pressures into the economic system. While sometimes intended to stimulate growth, they invariably carry the risk of price escalation. This is a perpetual balancing act. These inherent pressures stem from the simple economic reality of supply and demand for money itself. An increased supply of currency dilutes its individual value, necessitating higher prices for goods and services. This relationship is foundational. The most visible and immediate impact of inflation is undoubtedly the rising cost of goods and services. Consumers observe this firsthand as their regular expenses steadily climb. It is the clearest indicator of currency devaluation. Examples are plentiful and universally experienced, ranging from the increasing prices for everyday groceries to the fluctuating costs at the gasoline pump. These essential expenditures become more burdensome over time. Such increases are often front-page news. This continuous rise in prices directly leads to the erosion of individual and household purchasing power. The same income can afford fewer items, effectively reducing living standards. It is a subtle but significant form of financial loss. Forcing difficult financial choices upon consumers becomes an inevitable consequence of sustained inflation. Families must prioritize, cut back, or seek additional income to maintain their former lifestyle. Budgeting becomes a more stringent exercise. Businesses also grapple with significant impacts, primarily manifested as higher costs of production. Every stage of their operation becomes more expensive. This pressure can compress profit margins or force price adjustments. They face increased expenses for raw materials and component parts essential to their manufacturing processes. These input costs translate directly into higher output prices. The supply chain effect is profound. Rising labor costs also contribute significantly to business expenditure. Demands for higher wages to offset inflation often lead to increased operational overhead. This forms a crucial part of the inflationary feedback loop. Elevated transportation costs further affect supply chains. impacting everything from sourcing materials to delivering finished products. Fuel price increases are passed down through the entire economic network. This contributes to general price hikes. Consequently, businesses are often compelled to pass these increased costs on to consumers through higher retail prices. This strategy preserves profit margins but further fuels the inflationary cycle. It is a necessary business adjustment. This act of passing on costs perpetuates the inflationary cycle, creating a continuous upward spiral of prices and expenditures. Each increase justifies the next, sustaining the phenomenon. It is a self-reinforcing dynamic. Governments and central banks actively attempt to manage inflation through various policy interventions. These efforts aim to stabilize prices and preserve economic health. Such measures are central to macroeconomic management. Monetary policy tools are among the most frequently deployed instruments. Central banks, for instance, often resort to raising interest rates as a primary method to combat inflation. This action targets the money supply and borrowing costs. The intention behind raising interest rates is to make borrowing more expensive, thereby reducing demand for credit and slowing economic activity. This cools down an overheating economy and moderates price increases. It's a fundamental mechanism. However, a potential negative consequence of such stringent monetary policy is the slowing of overall economic growth. Businesses may postpone investments, and consumers may reduce spending. This can lead to a broad economic slowdown. There is also a significant risk of triggering economic recessions as an unintended side effect of aggressive interest rate hikes. Overly restrictive policies can stifle demand too severely. This presents a difficult trade-off. Policymakers must navigate a delicate balancing act to maintain economic stability. They must curb inflation without inadvertently plunging the economy into a downturn. This requires precise timing and careful calibration. This inherent trade-off highlights the fundamental constraints in inflation management. There is often no single, universally beneficial solution. Every policy choice carries a set of advantages and disadvantages. The limits of policy effectiveness become apparent when considering the global interconnectedness of economies. Domestic policies may not fully address imported inflation or supply-side shocks. Inflation is a multifaceted challenge. Infrastructure projects, vital for economic development, are particularly vulnerable to inflationary pressures. Rising material and labor costs can inflate budgets and delay completion. This affects long-term national planning. Another significant inflationary factor is wage increases that outpace productivity gains. When workers earn more without producing commensurately more, the cost per unit of output rises. This can fuel general price increases. This imbalance carries the risk of initiating a wage price spiral, a dangerous cycle where rising wages prompt businesses to raise prices, which then leads workers to demand further wage hikes. This creates a self-perpetuating loop. Such inflationary trends are often exacerbated by global events. Major supply chain disruptions, for example, can drastically reduce the availability of goods. This directly drives up prices due to scarcity. Geopolitical instability, such as conflicts or trade wars, can also significantly amplify inflationary pressures. Sanctions, tariffs, and disruptions to energy supplies directly impact global commodity prices. These external shocks are powerful. The amplification of inflationary effects by global economic interconnectedness is undeniable. A shock in one part of the world can quickly ripple across continents. No economy operates in isolation. These systemic challenges make it incredibly difficult to fully contain or eliminate inflation. They represent persistent forces that economies must constantly navigate. Understanding them is key to effective management. Whether it is the cost of raw materials from abroad or the impact of global demand shifts, these external factors often lie beyond the immediate control of national policymakers. This complicates domestic efforts significantly. The interplay of these factors creates a complex and dynamic environment where inflation can easily take root and persist. It is a testament to the intricate nature of modern global economics. These elements form a constant backdrop. Historical recurrence reveals inflation as a constant challenge across economic cycles. It is not a new phenomenon, but one that has shaped societies and economies for centuries. Its patterns offer valuable insights. From ancient Rome to modern hyperinflation events, the devaluation of currency has consistently impacted civilizations. Each era confronts its unique manifestations of rising prices and eroding purchasing power. The lessons are timeless. Societies have repeatedly grappled with the consequences of inflation, from social unrest driven by reduced living standards to political instability caused by economic uncertainty. Its effects extend far beyond mere economics. Understanding this historical context underscores the enduring nature of inflation. It suggests that while its intensity may vary, its fundamental presence in monetary systems is a persistent reality. We are perpetually managing this force. The societal implications are profound, affecting wealth distribution, investment decisions, and long-term planning for individuals and nations alike. Inflation shapes the economic calculus for generations. Its reach is extensive. Ultimately, inflation's perpetual presence is a fundamental aspect of how modern economies function, driven by continuous monetary expansion, systemic vulnerabilities, and global interconnectedness. It is an ongoing challenge, not a temporary inconvenience. The aspiration for an economy entirely free from inflation may therefore be an idealized, perhaps even unrealistic goal. Instead, the focus remains on effective management and mitigation, rather than outright elimination. This ongoing vigilance is critical. Inflation is a persistent reminder that the value of money is not static, but a dynamic reflection of economic forces and policy decisions. Its continuous presence underscores the need for constant economic adaptation and awareness.